Rose again, spinning, floater, yes!
In the history of the NBA, few stories hit harder or inspire more than Derrick Rose's. He didn't just play the game, he attacked it like it owed him money. Blurring past defenders like they were buffering on dial-up, Rose played like someone jammed the fast-forward button while everyone else was stuck in slo-mo. The man had no respect for ankles or gravity. A 6'3" point guard from the South Side with the bounce of a shooting guard and the poise of a 10-year vet. At just 22, he became the youngest MVP in NBA history, an honor reserved for legends. Then, it all came crashing down. One knee, then the other, then another setback, and another. Most players would have tapped out, but Derrick, he never folded, never complained, never asked, why me? From Simeon High to NBA superstardom, from MVP chants to trade rumors, from broken knees to an unbreakable legacy. This is the story of Derrick Rose. The rise, the fall, and the comeback you didn't see coming. October 4th, 1988, Inglewood, Chicago. Derrick Martell Rose enters the world in one of the toughest neighborhoods in America, where basketball isn't just a game, but an escape plan. The youngest of four boys, Derrick stood out early, not just because he could hoop, but because he played like the game owed him something. Calm, cold, clinical, no theatrics, just buckets. Murray Park, just a few blocks from home, became his gym, his lab, his therapy. While violence echoed in the streets, the court was his safe haven. His older brothers, Dwayne, Reggie, and Allen, formed a human shield around him. They were his first coaches, first defenders, first believers. They saw what Chicago would soon realize. This kid was different. As Derrick's name started buzzing, his mother, Brenda, locked it down. She saw how fast hype could turn into heartbreak. She'd watched it happen to Ronnie Fields, a local legend who never made it to the league. She wasn't about to let history repeat itself. By the time he hit high school, Rose wasn't just a prospect, he was the name. He enrolled at Simeon Career Academy, the same school as Benji Wilson, another Southside phenom whose life was cut short before he ever got to make his mark on the NBA. That legacy mattered to Rose. You could see it in how he wore number 25 at Simeon, honoring Wilson's memory every time he stepped on the floor. Not for attention, for respect. Rose's high school journey wasn't without obstacles. Freshman year, Coach Bob Hambrick's long-standing policy kept Rose on the freshman team despite his obvious talent. Rather than complain, Rose dominated the lower level and even declined a late-season promotion to varsity, showing the character that would define his career. When he finally reached varsity as a sophomore, Rose's impact was immediate. By junior year, he had delivered Simeon its first state championship since Benji Wilson's team in 1984, hitting a game-winning jumper as time expired against Richwoods High. His senior year brought national attention. In a televised matchup against Oak Hill Academy and future NBA player Brandon Jennings, Rose announced himself to the country with 28 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds in a statement victory. He finished his high school career with back-to-back state titles and every major award: Illinois Mr. Basketball, McDonald's All-American, and first-team honors across the board. When it was all said and done, Simeon retired his jersey, number 25, next to Ben Wilson's, right where it belonged. By 2007, there was no doubt. The question wasn't if Derrick Rose would be great, it was how far he'd take it. When it came time to choose a college, Rose had options. Every top program in the country wanted him, but he picked Memphis under John Calipari. Not because it was the flashiest choice, but because Memphis gave him the keys. Calipari promised him freedom, tempo, and the ball in his hands. And in Rose's quiet calculus, that was the only currency that mattered. The NCAA had seen freshman phenoms before, but they hadn't seen a player like Derrick Rose, who walked through the door so quietly but shook the building so hard. From day one, teammates were struck by the contradiction. The same kid who barely spoke off the court seemed to scream with every explosive drive to the rim. Senior teammate Chris Douglas Roberts put it best. In practice, Derrick played like he was fighting for minutes, not like someone who was already projected as a top NBA pick. Rose's adjustment to the college game was nearly seamless. While many freshman point guards struggle with the increased speed and complexity of college basketball, Rose seemed to accelerate, averaging 14.9 points, 4.7 assists, and 4.5 rebounds per game. His explosiveness in transition and ability to finish at the rim with both power and finesse made him an immediate sensation. As the 2007-2008 season progressed, Memphis established itself as one of the nation's elite teams. With Rose orchestrating the offense, they raced to a 26-0 start. By February, they had claimed the #1 ranking in the country, with Rose's growing confidence mirroring the team's dominance. Against UCLA, then ranked #2 in the country, Rose delivered a statement performance, with 18 points and 9 assists, announcing himself as not just a top prospect, but a legitimate star. Memphis rolled through the Conference USA tournament, and Rose dropped 25 in the championship. Tournament MVP, no debate. Heading into March Madness, Memphis was a 33-1, a #1 seed, and Derrick Rose had officially gone from next up to now. The NCAA tournament is where pretenders get exposed and legends get carved. Rose chose the latter. In the Elite Eight against Texas, he delivered a masterclass with 21 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds, outdueling fellow future NBA star DJ Augustine. In the Final Four against UCLA's vaunted defense, Rose was even better. 25 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists, propelling Memphis to the national championship. Then came the title game, Memphis versus Kansas. Rose versus the moment. The day was April 7, 2008. The place? Alamo Dome in San Antonio. For 38 minutes, Rose authored what should have been his coronation. With just over 2 minutes left, Memphis led by 9. Rose had taken over the second half, scoring 14 of his 18 points, each bucket more emphatic than the last. The title was all but theirs. But then came a collapse that would haunt Memphis fans forever. 9 points. 2 minutes. What could go wrong? Everything. Missed free throws, bad bounces, including one by Rose, cracked the door open. With 2.1 seconds left, Kansas's Mario Chalmers hit a three-pointer that would become March Madness legend, forcing overtime. The stunned Tigers never recovered, falling 75-68 in the extra period. Kansas cut down the nets that night, but anyone who watched that game knows who the best player on the floor was. Number 23 in Memphis Blue, the quiet assassin from Chicago's South Side. Despite the heartbreaking finish, Rose's lone college season had established him as one of the most electric talents in basketball. His tournament averages of 20.8 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 6 assists had NBA scouts salivating at his potential. However, Rose's Memphis legacy would later be complicated by controversy. The NCAA later vacated all 38 of Memphis's wins that season. Why? An investigation into Rose's high school SAT score and his brother receiving improper travel benefits, which violated NCAA rules about benefits to athletes' family members. Officially, the season was wiped from the record books. Unofficially, everyone knew what they saw. Derrick Rose didn't just lead Memphis to a championship game, he turned them into a national powerhouse. Despite the controversial ending, Rose's trajectory was clear. On April 15, 2008, just days after coming painfully close to a national title, Rose declared for the NBA draft. 1 season, 40 games, and he left college basketball smoking, wondering what just hit it. As Rose shifted his focus to the NBA, the entire basketball world knew he was destined for greatness. Mock drafts had him locked at the top. The only question was which franchise would land the electric point guard from Chicago's South Side. A city desperate for basketball relevance watched the calendar inch toward the NBA draft lottery with bated breath. Sometimes the basketball gods have a flair for the dramatic. On May 20, 2008, the Chicago Bulls entered the NBA draft lottery with just a 1.7% chance of securing the top pick. The odds were overwhelmingly against them, but fate was on Derrick Rose's side. And when Deputy Commissioner Adam Silver flipped that card to reveal the Bulls logo, Chicago lost its mind. 6 years out of playoff relevance, still living in the long shadow of Michael Jordan. And now the city's prodigal son was coming home. It felt scripted. Too perfect. Too cinematic. But it was real. On June 26, 2008 at Madison Square Garden, NBA Commissioner David Stern stepped to the podium. With the first pick in the 2008 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Derrick Rose from the University of Memphis. The journey from the courts of Inglewood to the United Center had come full circle. Rose became just the third Chicago Public League player ever drafted number 1 overall, joining Mark Aguirre and Cazzie Russell in this elite fraternity, but the first to do it for his city. And with that, the pressure was instant. Rose wasn't just the next big thing. He was Chicago's basketball redemption arc. In his debut against the Bucks, he dropped 11 points and 9 assists. But in Game 3 of his career against the defending champs, the Boston Celtics, he went off for 26 and 6. As his rookie campaign progressed, Rose established himself as a transformative force. His explosion to the rim was virtually unmatched, even by NBA standards. While most rookie point guards struggled with the pace and physicality of the professional game, Rose seemed to thrive on it. His mid-range jump shot became increasingly reliable, and his court vision allowed him to find teammates for easy baskets. By season's end, Rose had changed the entire trajectory of the franchise. 16.8 points, 6.3 assists, nearly 4 rebounds a night, on 47.5% shooting. The Bulls jumped from 33 wins to 41 and snuck into the playoffs. The basketball world took notice. On April 22, 2009, Rose was named the NBA Rookie of the Year, receiving 111 of a possible 120 first-place votes. He became the third Bull to win the award, joining Michael Jordan and Elton Brand. But the true coming-out party for Derrick Rose came in the 2009 NBA playoffs against the defending champion Boston Celtics. In his playoff debut, Game 1 on the road in Boston, Rose delivered one of the greatest rookie postseason performances in NBA history. 36 points and 11 assists, tying Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record for most points by a rookie in their playoff debut. The Bulls lost that series in 7, but it was one of the greatest first-round battles ever. 4 overtime games, 7 games decided by a total of 28 points, and Chicago had its star. "This is just the beginning," Rose said after Game 7. "We'll be back." And he wasn't lying. As his rookie season came to a close, the question was no longer whether Derrick Rose could handle the pressure of playing in his hometown. It was just how high he could ascend. The answer, as the basketball world would soon discover, was higher than anyone could have imagined. After his impressive rookie season, Derrick Rose focused intensely on improving his game during the summer of 2009. He dedicated countless hours to refining his jump shot, building strength, and studying the league's elite point guards. And when he came back, you could see it. More control, more confidence, same explosion. By mid-season, he was averaging 20.5 points and 6.2 assists a game. On January 28, 2010, he was named an All-Star, the first Bull since Jordan to get that nod. He finished his second year with 20.8 and 6.0. The Bulls made the playoffs again, another step forward. Then came Tom Thibodeau, a defensive wizard from the Celtics, a system guy, but more importantly, a Rose system guy. High pick and rolls, space to attack, shooters in the corners, the perfect formula. And Derrick? He cooked. The results were immediate. With Thibodeau's system and new teammates like Carlos Boozer and Kyle Korver, Rose elevated his game dramatically in the 2010-2011 season, averaging over 25 points and 8 assists by December. But numbers tell only part of the story. Rose also evolved as a leader, finding his voice on the court while setting the example with his work ethic. The shy kid from Inglewood now commanded the huddle with the quiet authority of a 10-year veteran. He significantly improved his three-point shooting from 22% as a rookie to 33% in his third season, forcing defenders to respect his outside shot. His scoring explosions became legendary: 42 against the Spurs, 39 against Orlando, 34 and 8 assists versus the Lakers. As the season progressed, it became clear the NBA wasn't just witnessing a good player having a great season, but a 22-year-old phenomenon redefining the point guard position and setting the stage for a historic MVP campaign. The 2010-2011 NBA season began with whispers that grew to murmurs that exploded into a question that would have seemed laughable just 2 years earlier. Could Derrick Rose win MVP? What followed was a campaign so dominant that by its end, the question wasn't if Rose belonged in the conversation, but who else did. From opening night, Rose didn't slow down. He went full throttle. 7 30-point games in the first month. Game winners. Reverse layups that made defenders question their careers. He put up 25 points, 7.7 assists, and 4.1 rebounds. He joined only Jordan, Oscar Robertson, LeBron, and Jerry West as guys with 2,000-plus points and 600-plus assists in a season. The brilliance of Rose's MVP season wasn't just in the numbers. It was in the moments where he lifted the Bulls beyond what should have been possible. December 10th, 2010. Bulls versus Lakers. The defending champions versus a team still finding its identity. Rose exploded for 29 points and 9 assists, slicing through the Lakers' defense with surgical precision. After the game, Kobe Bryant pulled Rose aside and told him, "You're an MVP candidate for sure." January 17th, 2011. Martin Luther King Jr. Day in Memphis. Rose returned to the city where his NBA journey began, dropping 22 points and delivering a game-winning assist to Korver with 18 seconds left. As he walked off the court, the Memphis crowd, the same fans who had embraced him as a Tiger, gave him a standing ovation. March 7th, 2011, the moment many consider the unofficial coronation of his MVP season. Against the Hornets, Rose scored 15 of his 35 points in the fourth quarter, including a gravity-defying reverse layup over 3 defenders that had the United Center exploding into MVP chants that didn't stop until the final buzzer.
No way in the world he can guard him one-on-one, and he has to foul him, and then D. Rose right there.
That night, TNT analyst Kenny Smith said what everyone was thinking. The MVP race is over. It's Derrick Rose's award. These weren't just games, they were statements. A 22-year-old announcing his place in basketball history with each crossover, each impossible finish, each moment where he simply refused to let his team lose. In the playoffs, he kept delivering. 39 versus Indiana, including a memorable 44-point performance against the Hawks. Then came Miami, LeBron, Wade, Bosh, the newly formed juggernaut. Rose and the Bulls punched the Heat in the mouth in Game 1. But Miami adjusted, and in the end, they took the series in 5. Rose was great, but he was alone against a machine. It didn't matter. The league had already crowned him its king, the youngest MVP ever, and it wasn't particularly close. Still, the message was clear. The Bulls were back. And Derrick Rose was no longer the future. He was the now. Not because of marketing, not because of a blockbuster trade, but because of a kid who grew up riding the red line and shooting on rims without nets. Chicago hadn't had a real identity since number 23 left. Now they had number 1. This was the peak of his career, of the movement, of the city's belief. But in basketball, as in life, the higher you rise, the harder the fall. Following his MVP season, expectations for Derrick Rose and the Chicago Bulls couldn't have been higher. The city believed again, and even after falling short in the conference finals, the 2011-2012 season looked like the next step toward greatness. Then the injuries started creeping in. Toe, back, ankle, groin. Rose missed 27 of 66 games in that lockout-shortened season. Still, the Bulls finished with the best record in the East, 50-16. They were locked in, focused, ready for a title run. Life couldn't have been better, and then everything changed on April 28, 2012.
You were crying out that you bypassed the harder team in Miami Heat.
Rose came down bad on his left foot. See him holding onto his knee and down.
During Game 1 of the playoffs, the Bulls were facing the 76ers, and with just over a minute left and the Bulls up by 12, the game was essentially decided. Rose, still on the court despite the comfortable lead, drove to the basket as he had thousands of times before. Then silence. No contact, no foul, just D. Rose on the floor, clutching his knee like he knew exactly what had happened. And he did. Torn ACL. Just like that, everything changed. He was done for the playoffs. The Bulls collapsed. They lost the series in 6 to the 8th-seeded Sixers. What followed was a grueling rehabilitation process. Rose underwent surgery on May 12, 2012, with an estimated recovery time of 8 to 12 months. While many athletes return from ACL tears, few rely as heavily on the explosive athleticism that defined Rose's game. The question wasn't just whether he would return, but whether he would ever be the same player. The rehab became public. Adidas rolled out a docuseries called The Return. Fans waited. Cameras rolled. But the comeback never came. Even after being medically cleared in February 2013, Rose made the controversial choice to sit out the entire season, drawing criticism from fans and media. Critics pounced. Soft. Scared. Where's the MVP? But Rose wasn't ready, mentally or physically, and he wasn't rushing it for anyone. Finally, after 18 months away, he returned on opening night in 2013 against Miami to thunderous applause. But the comeback was short-lived. 10 games in, he tore the meniscus in his right knee. Another surgery, another season gone. The following year, 2014-15, he fought back again. Played 51 games. Then, same knee, same injury, same heartbreak. The cycle had become cruelly familiar, and this time it showed. Rose came back slower, more controlled, less reckless brilliance, more cautious calculation. He still produced 16.4 points, 4.7 assists, but the magic felt distant. The bounce, gone. The hesitation, noticeable. By 2016, the Bulls organization had begun to accept a harsh reality. The Derrick Rose era in Chicago was over. He'd gone from franchise savior to what now? In June 2016, Rose was traded to the New York Knicks. The kid who once carried Chicago on his back was leaving the city as damaged goods. No send-off, no final moment, just another chapter ending without warning. By the time Derrick Rose landed in New York, the glow was gone. The headlines weren't about his game anymore. They were about the injuries, the inconsistency, and the uncertainty. The former MVP had become a question mark. And in New York, where pressure doesn't just exist, it breathes down your neck, Derrick Rose didn't fit the narrative anymore. He was no longer the future, just a guy trying to stay healthy. One game, Rose didn't show up. No call, no text, just vanished. He later said he needed space, time to think. And honestly, who could blame him? He still put up decent numbers, 18 points a game, but the fit was off. The Knicks were a mess. Rose wasn't the guy anymore. He was just a name on the jersey. The next stop was Cleveland, a one-year deal with the Cavs, a shot to play alongside LeBron James. But it never clicked. Rose struggled to find his role, got hurt again, and left the team mid-season to reevaluate his future. That might have been the lowest point. For a minute, it looked like Derrick Rose might walk away from basketball entirely. But he didn't. He went to Minnesota. No fanfare, no press tour. Just a quiet reunion with Coach Tom Thibodeau, someone who still believed in him. Most people barely noticed. A former MVP now coming off the bench, trying to earn minutes in games that used to revolve around him. Then, October 31st, 2018.
2011 MVP, Rose!
Everybody just streams out on the floor to greet him, showing the respect. And they all know what this means to him. They know what he's lost and now what he's trying to find.
Against the Utah Jazz, with teammate Jimmy Butler sidelined, Derrick Rose turned back the clock. 50 points. Every kind of bucket. Floaters, crossovers, stepbacks, drives through contact. Vintage Rose. The crowd was electric. Teammates mobbed him. Fans were crying. Derrick Rose was crying. Not because of the points, but because of what it took to get there. Years of surgeries, rehab, doubt. Being written off, being traded, waived, and doubted again. But somehow, he was still here. That night, Derrick Rose reminded the world, "You might break my body, but you will not break my soul." From there, he kept going. Solid years in Minnesota, then Detroit, where he averaged 18 points off the bench. No drama, just work. He wasn't the MVP anymore. He didn't need to be. In 2021, he returned to the Knicks, not as a star, but as a guide, a mentor, a steady hand in the chaos. Then came Memphis. On July 3rd, 2023, he signed with the Grizzlies, another young squad, another chance to lead from the shadows. And on September 26th, 2024, quietly, gracefully, he called it. Derrick Rose officially retired from the NBA. No farewell tour, no dramatic send-off, just a man at peace with the game he gave everything to. He showed young players what it takes to survive the NBA after the spotlight fades. He was respected, trusted, not only for his highlights, but for his heart. Then, one more moment, one more tribute. On January 4th, 2025, the Bulls honored Derrick Rose during a game against the Knicks, a poetic matchup of two former homes. And there, in front of a roaring United Center crowd, it was announced, during the 2025-26 season, the Bulls will retire number 1. The number that once carried a city's hopes will hang in the rafters forever. Derrick Rose will forever be one of NBA's greatest what-ifs. What if he never tore his ACL? What if the knees held up? How many rings? How many records? We'll never know. But here's what we do know. He didn't quit. He didn't vanish. He kept coming back. Every time the game knocked him down, he stood back up. Slower, maybe, but never smaller. His career became a masterclass in grace under pressure. He didn't chase MVPs, and that in itself is legendary. Let us know your favorite D-Rose moments in the comments. As always, we want to hear them. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out this video about one of the game's greatest what-if moments.